It's sad because these parents miss the child that's sitting right there in front of them in their quest for a child who doesn't and will never exist. I was so distracted by what I was talking about, which was identity first language versus person first language, that I feel like I didn't clarify enough when I talked about the whole autism moms thing. It is a contentious phrase in the community. I'm not sure that everybody knows that. I'm not sure that everybody who watches our channel knows that. I think probably not, because I didn't even know it until like a year ago. When I found out, it made me really uncomfortable because I'm sure I've used the phrase. I'm sure I use the phrase a lot, and even probably not that long ago. So when I heard people talking about it, it made me super uncomfortable because I thought I wouldn't have guessed that that was upsetting to people. And because I know that there's probably a lot of people, and my stomach's rumbling really loud. I know that there's probably a lot of people who use that phrase that don't fit into the category that people are talking about when they use the phrase autism moms. And so I'm going to give you a whole explanation of what's usually meant in the autistic community when that phrase is used, why it's not a happy term in the autistic community, what's meant by it, and that is what I'm talking about today. So first off, I want to say that I know that there are so many parents here that are awesome. We have a really great community, and there are a lot of parents of autistic kids who are amazing. Parents of autistic kids who are also neurodiverse, who aren't autistic, who have other disabilities, parents of autistic kids who are neurotypical. And I feel like that doesn't get recognized enough sometimes, and I don't want to lump you all in with the autism warrior moms, which is who I'm talking about, which is who is getting talked about most of the time when you hear autism moms used in like a derogatory way. I will admit, sometimes I feel like a little bit caught in the middle. When I first joined autistic groups, when I was brand new, freshly diagnosed and all excited to actually, I actually felt comfortable joining autistic groups because I just had so much like insecurity and self-doubt that I didn't really feel comfortable joining groups and saying that I was autistic until I actually had been diagnosed by a professional. I know that self-diagnosis is valid, but I just had this like insecurity inside of me. Like, what if I'm not? What if I've just like convinced myself of this? Part of that was especially as a parent. It made me feel really insecure because I saw the way that a lot of people talked about parents of autistic kids. Like they were making their diagnosis all about themselves. And I was like, what if that's what I'm doing? And it worried me so much that I needed to hear it from someone else. And then when I brought it up to my doctor and he was like, yeah, I think it's very likely. And I'd known my doctor for a long time. And then I went to the referral and I had the evaluation and the doctor there was like, I think it's extremely obvious to both of us. And I was like, it is? I mean, it is. So I joined these groups, these autistic groups that, you know, everyone was talking about that were so good. And I found that some of the reactions that I got, one of the groups I really, really like. One of the groups I am still in, and it's a mom's group. And I found over the years that a lot of groups that can seem really good at first can just end up being incredibly anxiety producing. I am not in very many Facebook groups anymore because I just found Facebook groups and internet groups can become toxic over time. And so I really backed away, both from just Facebook in general, but especially from Facebook groups. What I found in those groups was, number one, that I had this like idealistic view that we were all going to get along, and that was definitely not the case. There was just a lot of banning, and like if everyone didn't agree the same thing, they would just get muted and banned, and that was interesting and kind of disturbing. The other thing I found was that as soon as I mentioned that I was a parent of an autistic parent of an autistic child, a lot of people got really hostile really fast. And then it was like nothing I could say was right. I mean, I wasn't saying anything that was controversial, but suddenly it was like everything I would say would be attacked. I mean, suddenly people were saying, well, you can't know if a child's autistic before they're 7 or 8. Everything I said was wrong and would be picked apart. That was kind of an enlightening experience. And I've lately seen other people who've said the same thing, that when they've said that they were a parent, all of a sudden it seems like people will start to come down really hard on you. It's like the fact that you're autistic is gone, and it's just like everybody starts to pick at you. And that was really what I found to be the case. And I've noticed that also sometimes on my channel, not from people whose names I recognize or anything like that. I think there's definitely a percentage of people who come to my channel who don't realize I'm autistic, if I don't say it in the first minute of a video, and who are able to figure out that my kids are autistic and who immediately hate me because I'm the parent of an autistic child. So I do understand that that happens. I understand that there are people, especially probably, who have their own baggage and who see a parent of an autistic child and who are ready to tear that person apart. Probably especially because I'm here on YouTube and they feel like that in itself is exploitive. And they're then ready to tear me a new one about what a bad person I am and are ready to distort every single thing that I say. So I definitely feel like I get that from the one side. And then from the other side, there are parents, again, not everyone, the percentage of autism warrior parents who I really piss off, who get really angry with me, who do think we need a cure, who do think that me and all of my kids are broken, who are pissed that I have this many kids, people who think that eugenics aren't bad, people who think that autism is something that should be stamped out. And those people, they don't like me either. Sometimes I feel like I get comments from both sides, and that's okay because I can take it. Let's get back to the whole autism thing. The phrase is disliked by a lot of people in the autistic community. The way that it's usually explained is that it's not your identity, it's your child's identity. You are an autism mom unless you're autistic, and then you're an autistic mom. That is your child's identity. It isn't your own identity. You would be a parent of an autistic child. I can understand why there's that temptation to call yourself that, because being the parent of any small child is a pretty consuming job. And when you're the caretaker of a person who has a disability, there's even more. And I think part of it is that it's new, it's not what you expected, it's not the stuff that you read books on, and that's scary a lot of the time. And there's all of these things that tell you it should be scary if you're listening to and reading stuff from like Autism Speaks, and the things that tell you it should be scary, and the groups of other moms that are there telling you how bad it is, that kind of feeds into that, which I think is why it's really important to stay away from those groups, because I don't think that's helpful at all. I think that feeding into that negativity is really a dangerous place to be in. I don't think that that is helpful at all. Having individual friends that can be there for support, I think that that is one thing, but having people that are there specifically that just complain about their kids and that are in the whole bashing autism, I don't think that that is something that is good for parents of kids who are autistic. I think that that is really negative. That was something that always made me really uncomfortable, even when Maggie was little and I didn't really know much about autism. And it probably doesn't help that all of the shirts that say Autism Mom on them inevitably have that puzzle piece on them. And if you don't know the history of the puzzle piece, there are a lot of great videos out there and articles out there that explain it. Whatever it means personally to you, the history of it with Autism Speaks is very damaging. It is very, very much related to finding a cure, and it's like there's a piece of us that's missing. Well, I personally love puzzles. All my girls all love puzzles. I personally have a little champion puzzle necklace that I won in middle school, or 6th grade, I can't remember. Anyways, not important. Puzzles as related to autism are really, really not good news, especially when trying to relate to the autistic community. Some people don't care, but overall, plastering that thing on a t-shirt and putting Autism Mom or Autism Dad on it is just not the way to build bridges. The infinity symbol is the symbol that most people prefer. Some people are starting to change over to that, and until there's something else, that's kind of where it's at. Okay. Oh my gosh. With the cold weather, there's just so much vocal stimming all the time. It's happy stimming, but it's always loud. But yeah, I guess to kind of sum it up, if you hear Autism Mom or Autism Parent, and it's being used in a derogatory way. It doesn't mean like just a parent of an autistic child. It's referencing like that autism warrior parent, the one who wants a cure, the one who's willing to experiment on their child because they want a neurotypical child. They don't want the child that they have, the child that's right there in front of them. They want a neurotypical child, and they're willing to do almost whatever it takes to get that child. They're willing to try things that are sometimes dangerous to do that. Sometimes that's restrictive diets. Sometimes that's as dangerous as drinking bleach or chelation therapies. Oftentimes that's completely unproven and unbacked science. It's sad because these parents miss the child that's sitting right there in front of them in their quest for a child who doesn't and will never exist. Kids aren't experiments, and you can't make an autistic person neurotypical. You might force us to mask for a while, but we'll still be autistic. Probably just very prone to anxiety and depression, which is something we're already prone to anyways. Anyways, that is it for today. If you like this video, we'd love it if you give it a thumbs up, and if you're interested in all things autism, we'd love it if you did subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.